just watching the stream to see if it finally turns on.
And we're live. We're alive. Alive! Alive, motherfuckers! Alright.
Jeez, it's only been a couple of years since our last one, you know?
Well, we had to take a hiatus.
Longest hiatus ever.
No,
Yeah, that's usually due to me rebooting.
we're still, far behind Half-Life 3, so we're good.
It's glad that we have Half-Life 3. It used to be Duke Nukem, and now it's Half-Life 3 for us. We'll always have that bar.
Yep. We'll never be that slow.
Yes.
With
All right,
that
hello
paperwork.
everyone. This is Anjel Syndicate Live. I am Matt.
This is Dave, Angelus X Slunwhite,
And Goji, Cream Harbor.
welcome to Angel Syndicate Live, Season 2, Episode 1, The Pants Strike Back.
Wow, we have like episode season numbers now? That's pretty impressive.
Dude, we are hardcore now.
Yep. We're not playing around anymore.
Yeah, those first 6 episodes, that they were just, that was just us dicking around. Now we're serious business. I feel like I need to wear a tie.
I'm actually wearing one now.
Okay, that was a joke. You weren't supposed to actually wear a tie. Damn it.
God damn it, man. I was trying to be professional.
Yeah, and I
What did we
feel...
learn?
And here I am sitting in pajama pants and we're talking about professionalism. Unprofessional, absolutely.
Next time, underwear is okay. Noted.
Okay, I will wear my underwear on my head, same as usual. All right, let's talk about our first. We got a long list of things to talk about because it's been a couple years. But let's hit some of the high notes that have been happening rather recently. First, let's talk about Overwatch, guys.
The hype surrounding that is insane.
I know, right? Friggin' action figures. I wouldn't even say life size. Those things were beyond life size, popping up in a few different places with all kinds of fun stuff. The open beta had an enormous amount of people popping in and playing for free. I'm personally looking forward to it because it's pretty much Team Fortress 3 for me. And I do not want to show you how many hours I spent on the first two.
Is it really Team Fortress 3 though, or is it another one of these multiplayer only games that have a gimmick that's really, really neat that dies out? And I'm looking at Titanfall. You know what? I actually haven't played Overwatch and Battleborn. I actually think Battleborn has a little bit more going for it. It's like these MOBA FPS hybrids that are pretty neat, but will the community survive?
Well, we're talking about a Blizzard game first. I can't think. I mean, even World of Warcraft, which has been out since some people were probably conceived to that at this point when it first came out. It's still going strong, and it really is Team Fortress 3. You have a bunch of different characters that have very specific things, and it's literally attacking or defense or shooting the hell out of each other. It is very pure in its gameplay, and I think that's something that a lot of people are going to appreciate.
I hope so, because I hope it's not Evolve 2.0 or Titanfall 3.0 and or Battleborn for that nature, which I actually think Battleborn has those unique classes, has those unique roles. It's attack, defense. They got a few other gameplay types, but there's a little bit more storyline. There is that single player co-op narrative, albeit it's only 8 missions and they're repetitive in a lot of ways, except for costume design, seasonal settings that change. But I don't know. I'm worried about these entirely first-person shooter focused games and how long they will last. Like even Destiny and the
Worried about
Division recently. After you get through that initial grind of
How long
okay,
it'll
there's
last,
these
like,
even X amount of generic mission types. What is there to it after that? And I'll grant you this. Blizzard has managed to keep me in Diablo 3, even though I feel that there are better action RPGs out there that are clicky. But you know, You may be right, man. I await to see before I invest these days.
Well, I tell you what, once it releases tomorrow at I believe 4 o'clock p.m. my time, I will go in there and I will continue playing it, and I will let you know about the staying power. But I have a really good feeling about it because unlike Battleborn is trying to do a lot of things to appease a lot of different people. It has a MOBA mode. It has the single player mode that you can play with others, which makes a lot of sense considering its pedigree. Overwatch is very specific in the kind of game that it's catering to, and what it does really, really well. And I think that that's going to help push it over.
I love it that you said pedigree, especially applied to Battleborn, because again, there's those notions of their previous titles. Are we allowed to name drop?
Yes.
Absolutely. Drop all the names.
Drop it like it's hot.
And then he gets quiet. Well, I guess he doesn't get to name any names now.
Oh no, I apologize. I didn't realize I was muted. So, Borderlands. That's bad. That can't happen again. So, Borderlands, as I was talking to myself about, great single player, great co-op, quirky humor. I see a lot of that in what they're doing now with Battleborn. That MOBA tease though, like, the
I know it's
multiplayer
hilarious.
only, I hope Blizzard can pull it off. And again, I enjoyed Overwatch with a few characters I played with, and I'm a big Western fan, so they're scratching that itch for me with a specific character in general. But
yeah, I think that
Evolve died within like a month. Like Titanfall, it felt like it died within 2 months. Like, yes, this is more mobile oriented. Will it last?
It's really difficult to compare this to Titanfall because Titanfall did not really push a lot. It was not a very smooth experience playing it. It seemed all right, and it had a little bit of a community for a bit. But when it came out, a whole bunch of other games that came out too. If memory serves, one of the Call of Duties came out about the same time. And if you're going to choose between Titanfall and the game that the reiteration of the game you've been playing for freaking ever, you're going to go with what you know. Right now, the battle is kind of between Battleborn and Overwatch, but really, when you actually look at what both of those games offer, they both offer very different experiences. And once you get past the layperson's 3-second view, you're going to realize, oh, okay, these games they're two different games. They're doing two very different things, and people are going to flock to one or the other, or friggin' both.
It'll be interesting if they flock to both. And I do agree with you. They're trying to do two very different things, but that layman's perspective, especially with that knee-jerk reaction that you see in Steam reviews, and that it really isn't applicable to the console world. I'm just really, really curious how many of those that tasted the betas of both are going to be invested for the long haul. And I'll be honest with you, like, I am a little bit butthurt because I invested in Battlefront, I invested in Titanfall, I invested in Evolve. I kind of feel in a way that these games are in the same ilk of Left 4 Dead. Yes, they are more MOBA oriented, but it is that first person objective based team gameplay experience, and it will be interesting to see how long the community lasts. I think Blizzard has a one up to your point because you have those invested fanboys like myself that are in Battle.net, have been since Warcraft 2, but it will be interesting to see once the dust settles and once everyone sees the niches that they both fill, which one has the staying power.
We'll figure it out. And honestly, this is going to be a real exciting time over the next month. Battleborn has had a good solid 2 or 3 weeks to make their case before Overwatch officially comes out. And I mean, the numbers are going to tell themselves, but I personally think that there's enough room out there for both of them. And
Agreed.
now is the time for us to get a new shooter, a new team-based shooter out there, so that people can have fun. Because all the other ones, all the other really big names are already out, and they've been out for a little while. There's no real competition. People can go in, enjoy a quality play experience from either side, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll come back to this in a few podcasts, and we'll see how everything pans out.
I love your diplomacy about this all. You're such a gentleman, a mature gentleman.
I am a motherfucking gentleman. Yes, I am.
To interject, I will say Titanfall was a victim of circumstance to an extent because of its release window, because we played the hell out of it when it came out.
We did.
But, it just, too many games piled up around it that it didn't get a chance to really manifest itself. So we'll see what happens when Titanfall 2 comes out.
And I was really pissed off. Like, the little bits of story that you got before multiplayer mission, I felt more enjoyable than the multiplayer missions themselves. After a while.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping that the sequel, again, borrows more from what Overwatch is doing, a lot from what Battleborn is doing, and if they're going to go this strict multiplayer route, at least make it meaty. And Evolve tried to do that, it just felt too confined. For, just given modern gaming sensibility taste with open world environments, the environments in Evolve, even though they were objective rich, just felt confined.
I can dig that. All right. Well, unless someone else wants to bring up something about Overwatch.
No, I'm good. But though I will probably be playing, so I gotta make sure I got you added on BattleNet if I don't already.
You most likely don't. We'll take care of that after the show. All right. Next on our agenda,
Fucking Doom.
Fucking Doom. Wow. Did I kick this off? Like, I had low expectations. I have a love-hate relationship with Doom 3. I love the tone of it, especially given the era of Resident Evil that it came out, where survivor horror was all about creeping and pacing and giving out a turtle-like player in every FPS, where I always go the stealth route. And a certain individual that just reviewed Homefront, the most recent Homefront game, I actually find stealth to be working in that. I won't name Jim, though I love Jim. I just named him.
Great
That
job.
said,
I'm not going to name that guy, but here's his name.
That said, I love the pacing of it. I love the flow of it. It feels kinetic action in the old quick arena sense. You have to keep moving. There's a rhythm to the action. Even I saw some online complaints about the chainsaw, and it was like, I can't use the chainsaw whenever I want, and it is an overpowered weapon, and I love that you have to earn those chances, and when you do on those chances, it becomes a tactical necessity to use it. So it comes into gameplay where you're using a chainsaw to recoup your ammo, because otherwise you should be firing off on your weapons, dodging, jumping all over the place, climbing on objects, getting higher ground, getting death from above, DFA kills. And when you do go in for that melee chainsaw kill, even though they have those executions, it should be something that you savor. And somehow it remembered or recaptured that fun I had playing their original first-person shooters, which is great. And one other bit before I let you guys rant, I just gotta get this out of my system. I love how this game is, in a lot of ways, a fuck you to Doom 3. And a lot of the little gestures, how the character comes across, it acknowledges, quote unquote, what little storyline there was to the previous Doom games, while also pushing it forward. So your quote unquote Doom Marine is pissed off that he has to go through this shit again. He's tearing terminals from walls. When he gets to an upgrade terminal, he rips the upgrade off and punches the freaking droid. like he's just full of this angst and wants to get into the action, and it's a beautiful symphony of just bullet chaos that I'm loving.
You know, bringing up the whole narrative aspect, that was something that the newest Doom did really well. That Doom 3 completely flopped at, in my opinion. They did
You
a
think
really good.
so?
Oh, absolutely. Doom 3 tried to shovel the content into you, whereas the latest Doom told a lot without telling you a lot. They showed instead of told, and honestly, showing instead of telling means not having someone constantly chirping in your ear or picking up a thing that you got to sit there and read
Touche.
to go through that.
All right. The thing that you
Yeah,
have to pick up and read is where like I was gonna draw the contrast with when I was gonna say, well, Doom 3 was in the vein of Resident Evil in that yes, there are a few quote unquote cutscenes, but you piece together what occurred through notes and through detective work and investigation, and it's interesting that you're saying that this is they do show more than tell, which is actually I do agree with. Like
yeah,
just the whole awakening sequence and how they set up who you are, it's just like, okay, back to the job again, and there's no need for, you know, 15 minutes of disposition.
yeah, and I think that's really important, not just for today's gamers, but also for the Doom franchise. When you started off playing Doom 1, you didn't, all you knew was, oh, I'm a Marine, aliens from, or, demons are, invading you, you're on frickin' Mars, go. This managed to tell that and tell a lot more of a compelling story around, all the different facets inside the corporation without forcing it inside your head. There was only like 2 or 3 spots where the action actively dies and it stops, and you can tell that those plot points were chosen incredibly well to let you get a rest before a gigantic boss battle or a gigantic location change, which changes the theme and everything else.
Right.
They just did a much better job of handling all of that. Doom is not Resident Evil, and trying to turn that into the other while keeping the name, it just didn't feel right.
Which is why I think a lot of the gestures and the animations in it's almost like I'm sorry, our bad. We realized that we fucked up. Let's get back to the action.
Well,
Uh,
they tried to make Doom more than what it was, and I think that that's a problem with a
it
lot of
kind of worked though.
franchises.
There was something magical. I remember, and maybe I'm being, the candy that was the graphics was the icing on the cake. But there was something about the pacing of it and the confrontations with each new demonic creature being something epic that I'll grant it, Doom 4, quote unquote, 2016 captures that without making it that slow trotting Resident Evil quote unquote horror experience, but there was something magical about that.
You know what I think it is? I think that Doom 4 did a much better job of not just level placement but monster placement, so
Agreed.
it did not feel it didn't feel artificial. It wasn't, oh, I'm just gonna walk over here and oh, suddenly this wall slides away and these zombies are behind there. Why the fuck are zombies hiding behind that goddamn wall in the first place? Just little things like that, to where as opposed to in Doom 4, you're walking through and they come out from beside corners, they come up from behind you. They're placed much more logically, and if you can feel the flow. And there are a couple of monsters that teleport, and I try not to spoil anyone here, but everything else just feels organic, and that was something that Doom 3 just wasn't able to encapsulate.
That I would grant. A lot of the encounters caught me off guard and pissed me off. So I will grant you that. Though, and I would never want Doom to go back to Doom 3. I do think that it accomplished some interesting things that again, I'm the type of first person shooter that really isn't into the Call of Duties, that really isn't into the Battlefronts. I like the destructible terrain when I get it. I love that gritty Grizzly combat experience, but I'm not hardcore into it that I can keep playing it. And it's the first person shooters I do keep playing are Deus Ex. No one lives forever. System Shock, BioShock, at least the first one and the last one.
Good choice.
Yeah. So, I'm not that twitchy like I hated the Halo games, just to be completely honest with you, because after it came out, literally right after NOF, if I remember, and NOF 2, and I remember going to my friend's place because I was with anti-console. Then I was going through my hardcore idiot PC gamer phase at that point, and
You will shut your mouth, sir.
no, no, no. I've come around. There's a place. This is a place for consoles. There is a place because I defend my Sony consoles with all the quirky Japanese games I'm about to get, like God Eater. But I digress. So I'm not that. I'm more of a tactical shooter. Like even what was it, Alpha Protocol? Like I loved that RPG because of the tactical shooter elements of it. I'm a huge Metal Gear fan. So Doom 1, Doom 2, I played through them. They were great. I enjoyed like the flashback and historic context of getting my 386 to run them in my 286, but this honestly captures a kinetic, visceral, oh my god, this is fun. I'm enjoying the tempo of it. I'm enjoying the combat. The guns feel right that I haven't experienced since oh my god, what was that epic game with
Bulletstorm.
the Whiplash? Jesus Christ. Came right
Bulletstorm.
after Gears of War.
Bulletstorm.
Bulletstorm. Bulletstorm and then the first Gears of War.
Oh,
In
God,
that
fucking
and even though they
Bulletstorm.
weren't first person shooters, there was something about the kinetic feel of combat, the beat of combat, the weight of weapons, how weapons felt, that was just like it had me uttering guttural like roars in the room, like ah, and, like growling and shouting. And
Are you sure it
Doom
wasn't the
just
fact that you
captured
kept getting bonus points for shooting dudes in the ass?
that too. That too. I mean,
I
a
loved
good ass
Bulletstorm.
shot is Daredevil. I'm sorry, not Daredevil. As Deadpool has taught us, should be rewarded.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Doom hit a lot of the right buttons. The only thing is, I can't, as smooth as it is, I have, all I've done is play through the storyline because I was like, you know, I sat down and started playing. I was like, I can't stop playing it.
You can't
And
stop.
then it
Yep.
was over. And I'm going to take a look at how many hours I put into here, so I'm going to have to get quiet for a minute. But I don't know if I can quite justify a full 60 for that yet.
No. Unless you did all the exploration stuff, and I actually got to the point in my second playthrough where I would not leave a stage until I got 100% completion in terms of discovering every little doll, every secret, every lever, and honestly, like the exploration was fun as well. And it's similar to the point that you made earlier about the demon placement, in that the secrets were all placed intelligently, and there were enough cues if you paid attention. And I really, really loved, like, it's like, oh wow, corridor. Let me follow this. Oh, new gun I wasn't expecting. Like, that's awesome. Like a Twitch session that I did with Angelus last week, where I pulled him into, I literally fell down an elevator shaft where I should have died. Sans, that impact suppression thing that they do. And I landed on a new rifle. It was just like, oh shit, like that was unexpected. Like, thank you. It rewards dumbfounded exploration, and even when I look at what playing Dark Souls 3 with players online with PS4, and a lot of modern gamers don't explore. They run through objectives and they miss a lot of things. And it's interesting that Doom kept that in there. It was optional. You really don't get anything glamorous for going off the beaten path, but when you do, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, I've got to say, I give it 2 thumbs up. If you can get it on sale, 100%, even if it was like 20% off, totally get it.
Yeah,
As it is right
it's
now,
the play type, right?
yeah, I can't. I don't know if I could say, do totally get it. Everything about it's awesome because I haven't had a chance to play all of it. But I can tell you that the single player was totally worth the ride.
Single player was totally worth the ride. I completely agree. Briefly had to take a little bit of taste of multiplayer, and again, Quake Rocket Arena flashbacks are starting to come back to me, and those old Quake Twitch senses are coming back, and a little bit of Unreal Tournament as well. I'm feeling in it, so it will be interesting to see what happens with that community, especially with the level creation aspect of it, to see what people actually do and start with the PC realm at least start modding and adding into the game.
Oh, geez, that's gonna be friggin' nuts. All right, well, unless we're cleared off with anything else, let's talk about our next thing on our itinerary, which Mr. Angelus will certainly be leading us through. Loot Crate!
Yes, Loot Crate. You know, when I was first looking through them, because there's so many of these item crates that you can get now, subscription crates with all kinds of shit in them. When I first set up to get them, I didn't know what to expect. Because, well, you just never know with these things. I mean, Loot Crate has a really good reputation, but when that first crate came in, and I cracked it open, I honestly giggled. I giggled like a little schoolgirl, because it had, it was the Versus theme for March, I believe. It had a reversible Daredevil and Punisher winter hat, Batman vs. Superman wallet, a Harley Quinn comic, and a bunch of other little bits that were all nice. And then the other crates that I've gotten, like this Labyrinth t-shirt that I'm wearing now, I'm probably never going to part with, because, you know, it's Labyrinth, it's Bowie. But
I really regret not having that t-shirt, by the way.
It is amazing.
That t-shirt.
So, you know, I'm at 5 crates now. I've got the regular standard crate and then the Loot Anime crates, which are interesting. And there is stuff to appeal to anyone, like Alien vs. Predator figure. I've got a D20 ice dice mold, so I can make D20 ice. Be great for parties. Right? I got a drinking horn from Vikings. An Ultraman t-shirt, Sonico t-shirt, got Your Lie in April Volume 1 manga, you know, all this stuff. A lot of it I'm probably going to give away on the site at some point, maybe do a roundup big giveaway, and like Harry Potter socks. Every month has for any crate, every month has a theme, and the items are, you know, to that theme, and they go along really well with each individual theme. So I'm really surprised with the quality of the items and with just the variety, because they're not always the same things. Like I might get a t-shirt in one, and then I'll get a hat and posters and headphones, you name it. And I'm surprised at the value.
So that's what I'm gonna ask. Like, for those that don't know about the Loot Crate thing, is this like officially licensed stuff, or are they like imitations and
Oh no, it's licensed.
knockoffs?
It's, as far as I know, and from what I can tell, it's all licensed and it's Loot Crate exclusive for the most part. Like there's Loot Crate exclusive items in every box. I think it might only be 1 or 2 exclusive items, but it's all licensed stuff. Like the Labyrinth shirt is a Loot Crate exclusive. So, and the Harley Quinn comic book is a #1 Loot Crate exclusive. I'm not sure if that'll be worth anything at any point or not, but it's exclusive and it is legitimate. So, and the quality, like you can tell from the quality that it's, you know, not cheap knockoff stuff that they just throw together. So, you know, the value is definitely
back when
there.
I got it, yeah. I still have some of the shirts I got from it last year for what it's worth.
So, the thing with the only drawback I can see with Loot Crate is the subscriptions, because unless you're going to keep an eye on what the themes are for a month and buy them 1-to-1, sometimes you are rolling the dice on what you're going to get, because the theme is going to shift. And there's They did start their loot gaming line, which has been selling out consistently. And they like I think the newest loot gaming crate that's coming out has an exclusive Dark Souls 3 item in it. So, but it's really selling out, so they have to increase production on that end. But it's, you get a lot of quality stuff that you can use either for yourself or gifts or whatever you want to do. But, it depends on what you're interested in, because you're not always going to get stuff that might be your thing. So it depends on your fandom. If you're a generalist nerd like I am, and you love everything, then it's great. But if you have to pick and choose, then you might have to do that and, go in on a month-to-month basis.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get, but yeah, more often than not, what you're going to get is pretty good. And if you've got the disposable income, geez, like I said, I'm wearing half the damn shirts. Yeah, also they come in fat guy sizes, and they come in lady sizes too for the ladies that are listening. So, yeah, totally worth it.
Yeah, and there's a loot pets crate too to get your shit for pets. So if you want to get some interesting stuff for your cat, your dog, you might want to look into that as well. And even if you get stuff that you might not personally like, you probably know somebody who does. If you're willing to invest in a loot crate, you probably have friends who would be interested in the stuff that you don't want.
Yeah, yeah, great for regifting at Christmas. Not that I would ever do that. Anyone that's listening right now.
I'm so glad you added that disclaimer. It's so important.
All right. Let's roll on over to the next thing, which I want to talk a little bit about Magic the Gathering. For those of you who do not pay attention to that sort of stuff, I've been getting back into Magic, and one of the neat things that happened this weekend is the Grand Prix over in LA.
Wait, you getting back into Magic? What? Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I used to play it way back in the day when snow-covered lands were a thing. And then I dropped out for a while, and now I'm getting back to it thanks to my wonderful, loving, and caring roommates who are hopefully not listening to me right now. So I've been trying to catch up with some stuff, and GPLA happened. There were some really neat decks out of there, one of which I wanted to point out was absolutely upsetting everyone day one. Sadly, it didn't do quite so well day two, but someone came in with a black-blue mill deck. For those who don't know, every person has their decks. One of the ways of winning the game is they have 20 life points. You beat them down to 0 with your little mans, and you're done. The other way is if they attempt to draw a card from their deck and there are no cards left, they immediately lose. So this guy cobbled together a deck where just about every card he pulled out was making the dude drop between 3 and 10 cards out of his deck right into his graveyard. Oh, it's friggin' nuts. I will totally drop a link into chat, and hopefully Mr. Angelis will be able to put it up there later, the actual set list from that. And that made me interested in getting into Modern. All right, I'm going to put the link over here. For total nerding out on this kind of stuff.
I need to totally nerd out on this. This is unreal what you're describing.
It did incredibly well, and it was absolutely baffling. It was an absolute blast watching him play and going up against these people that have these modern decks with cards that span the last 5, 7, 10 years or whatever, and just completely rolling them with whatever the hell they were coming out with standard. Yeah, so feel free to take a look at that, and I'm gonna roll over next to Kickstarters. Anyone seen any fun Kickstarters lately?
Oh, there was that one that just went zap out of my head, but I think it concluded, and that was for the tactical RPG. What was that called?
Tactical RPG?
Yeah, it was a JRPG like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. Oh,
yes,
shit.
I know, right? And it's right there, and I can't think of it. God damn
it. This is why we need to get together links beforehand, just like we used to. I can't believe we've forgotten a simple thing.
I know. We're
Well,
horrible
while
like
you're
that.
looking that up, I'll talk about one that
Oh,
I
yes.
kickstarted that I received recently, which is called Mutant Gin Lab Alpha. It's based off of a post-apocalyptic RPG that's already out, but instead of the pacing on it, and I'm going to go look up the name in just a minute.
By Free
It's
Ligan, huh?
kind of. Like, give me just a minute. I want to look up the name of it.
I see a bear with a eye patch, like straight
Yes.
up Snake Plissken, aka Big Boss, and he has a mouse on his shoulder. Like what?
Oh, yeah. It's based off of Mutant Year Zero, which puts all the players as playing mutants. So humans with all kinds of deformities. Like some of them have wings, some of them can just make fire from their hands, some of them can like drink anything and not get polluted or whatever. And it puts them in this pseudo enclosed environment where they're trying to figure out what the hell actually happened, why they're there, why they can't have children, and stuff like that. It's a really neat system, and the maps that they provide and all that stuff make it a really detailed experience, but not too detailed. You're not having to sit there and start doing freaking algebra to do your stuff. And this is kind of an expansion for it, where instead of people, it's totally Moreau's Island kind of stuff, where you're playing bears and foxes and badgers and all of those, and it's the same kind of storyline where you're there, you have your own little tribes, you're trying to figure out what's going on, you're trying to better your own life and make sure that your tribe and everyone else can actually eat and drink clean water and stuff like that, while trying to figure out some of the bigger questions in life. I thought that was a really good Kickstarter, and I was pretty impressed with how it came out.
I am looking this over. So this is tabletop, like
I don't know if you
character.
know, dude, but if you go look on the site and you look through some of the older articles, I'm the one that did all the tabletop stuff.
I'll be damned. Like this looks amazing, and I love that you name drop Moreau in there. I was totally getting that vibe and that what would happen after Moreau died. What would happen to the animal, the beast people of that island, and this seems to capture that. Wow.
Oh, yeah, it captures that and throws it in a really serious hardcore, not totally hardcore, but it's a very solid post-apocalyptic experience where you not only have to worry about not being shot to death, but things like being depressed is actually a very bad thing because you're having to deal with a rather bleak landscape, and things can actually deal damage to your psyche to the point where if your spirit is completely battered all the way down, you'll just sit there like a lump, and the way to cure it is a big fucking hug. I shit you not.
You know what? Darkest Dungeon went down that path with the psychological effects, and it can be so bleak and dreary. I love it to death. Don't get me wrong. I kind of wish that there were things like get a hug from a teammate to alleviate some of the effects of the psychosis and dementia that occur during the game. That's
Yeah,
great.
being able to actually focus on the psychological turmoil as well as the physical strife is something that I'm really excited that some games are trying to reach out and try and do. I'm a huge Call of Cthulhu fan, so dealing with sanity in that sort of format was really nice and refreshing. Seeing this version, it felt pretty good to me.
I
It,
gotta say, I never was one into the strategic World War II games that were like little dots and icons moving around. But oh, I can't remember who did it, but Microsoft published it. It was Close Combat, and within Close Combat, they did have an aspect, which is the only reason why I was drawn to it, where they had the psychological effects of your soldiers. Like they would get panicked and depressed, and yeah, XCOM had it, but there was like this additional nuance and the different layers of fear and dementia that can occur. And like, I think you gotten me interested. I need to look into this, man.
oh yeah, totally. I dropped the link in chat, so feel free to click on it later. They will most likely the Kickstarter's already ended, sadly. But they should have the books published and out there in June or July. So definitely take a look at it. Uh, And going from there, let's bounce on over to what
Well-
you two have been playing for fucking ever.
Well,
Talk about
that
Stellaris.
other
Yeah?
Kickstarter was Arcadian Atlas.
Oh, Arcadian Atlas. Oh, dude, drop the link in there.
Yeah,
Is that
it's
over
in the
yet?
chat. Yeah, it's over. It got funded.
No. Well, I mean, yay, but also no.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, that
Oh, shit,
really
yeah.
woke me up.
Yeah, that one's going to be an absolute blast when it finally comes out. Probably, what, by the end of the year?
Imagine. I don't know. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll probably ping
All right,
back.
now then, with that,
Yes.
how about you two talk about Stellaris for a bit?
Yes, Stellaris. My 4X obsession. This actually, I'll tell you, a couple of months ago, around the beginning of the year, I said to Kareem that this might be the year for 4X games, and it really is starting to look that way. Like 4X and strategy games, because we've had Ashes of Singularity come out, Stellaris, Endless Space 2 is coming.
There's the move reboot that occurred.
Yeah. And not that long ago, Black, what is it? Battlefleet Armada came out, and but Stellaris is it's Paradox doing Paradox's thing. I mean, there are similarities to Sins of the Solar Republic, but or Solar Empire, sorry. But but at the same time, it's Paradox being Paradox. There's some. I will say up front that there is some. It needs more meat in mid game. Because once you get started, and you start expanding out your colony or your colonies, and you run into other empires, there is some tedium there of not too much to do other than build more colonies, build ships, explore. So there needs to be some more excitement added to that. But they've already said not that long ago that that's one of the things they're focusing on. Will be adding more mid-game content, both in free patches and expansions, because as long as people are playing it, Paradox will put out expansions for years.
But there's something that said about mid-game, like the early game and the post-game, in that the early game elements of it were setting out scout ships and exploring, depending on the different technologies, how you get to planets. There's you can use warp gates that generate wormholes. There's warp drive out of Star Trek, and there's hyperdrive out of Star Wars, and they each have their pros and cons. And one, just as a sci-fi buff, the initial creating, and I don't recommend using one of the pre-built races. The initial glee I got as a sci-fi fan, fully read and as the fanboy of everything from 2001 to Stranger in a Strange Land. There was something there that will scratch an itch in terms of just creating your race, and then as you explore, there's things that you discover in terms of the history of planets and your immediate solar system and neighboring systems may be barren, but you may find relics from predated civilizations that may scratch a sci-fi itch. Like, hey, discovering that a doomsday weapon was literally called the xenomorphs, and you can research that, and there's descriptions where, like, for the xenomorphs, it says, well, yeah, these are bioengineered, like, mass-producing, just chaos on the battlefield, and our scientists try to watch behind bunkers as best they can. And it's just like imagining that they've sort of taken these sci-fi tropes and these things, these paranoias that we have about future technology, whether it be bioengineering or generating wormholes and looking for god particles or things of that nature, and they
AI.
crafted it. AI. I still haven't even explored the robots research thread because I'm worried about a Terminator uprising. Like, it's that they have those little nuggets. It makes you reconsider everything that you do, every planet that you go to, everything that you research. Because again, like I still have in the game that I'm playing with Angel now this robot technology that I could research, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I could research that, but given the warning signs that I've gotten from storyline events, from like going to different planets, researching something, and getting a bit of information, I'm a bit worried that there is this AI apocalyptic holocaust waiting for my planet that I don't want to go down that road just yet. So
Yeah.
it's little gems like that that make Stellaris really, really meaty. And then, as Angel said, you get into the mid game where it's just about plopping down colonies, expanding, building up your fleet. That something gets lost, you can engage in diplomacy, but by that point, a lot of the civilizations already have formed opinions about you that have encountered you. And then there is this great endgame element where, even after, say, that all the plants are taken and everything else, there's these storyline elements that push you towards this ultimate finale, which are just really, really great. It's that mid game part, especially with larger galaxies of 1,000+ planets.
Yeah, absolutely. Or when you reach a certain point and all your leaders start to die, and you have to replace them
I
with
think that's a management
young
issue on our end,
generations.
though. I think that's a resource management on our.
It might be, but and it's also about the governmental systems because you're with your military republic, you're having what elections every 5 years or
Every
something,
5 years, yep.
right? And with my science directorate, I've got like an election every 40 to 50 years. So I haven't gone quite totally overlord. I'm sort of like midway overlord ish. So I'm like Cuba, kinda, but not quite because I do have elections occasionally when I feel like it. So, but I mean the thing was.
To bring to that point, I do wish that there was something of heredity involved. Oh my goodness, what is that JRPG Argent Saga where you get pass on traits to the next generation?
Yeah.
I really wish Stellaris had that, and that yes, you have these leaders. Yes, they can have longer lifespans if you do genetic manipulation, research all that technology and everything. Why not have heredity as well? In that I wouldn't mind breeding two of my scientists together and having an offspring that maybe inherits a couple of their traits that I could reuse. Like that would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, or they could like steal a page out of Koei's book and have political marriages between empires.
That would be interesting.
But the one thing that I really wish Stellaris had, which would be a giant time suck if they do, and that would be like Galactic Civilizations 3 having the ship designer and designing custom ships. If there was that one component, like the physical appearance and building the ships by block, like Spore kind of blockage. If they added that, I'd just die happy.
Can I say I'm glad that Stellaris does not have it because of the time that we both lost in terms of gameplay playing that damn thing instead of playing the damn game. And it's one of those things. It's just like it's great. Like they need to make it so that it's not part of the multiplayer experience. It's like a side thing where you have to go from the main menu to the ship constructor. You can only play with the ship constructor outside of a multiplayer game because it could like that becomes such a time suck that even I realized I was becoming guilty of it, and like I would get off TeamSpeak, and next thing I know, I wasted 40 minutes in the friggin' ship designer instead of being in the multiplayer game. Like that's so bad. I'm so opposed to it now. No.
Well, that's the thing about where it would work in Stellaris because there's no turns, so it's real time. So We're getting prompted to hurry.
Yes, God damn it, we still have a list of shit to talk about, guys.
Oh,
All right, all right,
That's
all right.
totally gonna pick
I
it
thought
up.
you
Why
were
am I
like
the one that has to be the fucking timekeeper here?
I thought you were putting the time in. You got 2 minutes.
All right. We'll just have to. We'll have to set aside a cast just for Stellaris.
That are totally all about Stellaris, and I'll be picking it up probably in the next month or so. I've got to get in there and play it well before fucking Civ 6 comes out in November.
Oh my God. We're saving that for upcoming hype. Let's just.
I know. Hey, trust me.
Hold on
everyone I
that
know
one.
is like, oh, if normally when a game comes out, people are like, oh man, that's gonna be awesome. Everyone hears that and they're like, oh God, no.
No. Goodbye,
All right. Yeah, we'll move on to the other giant time suck in the room, Black Desert Online.
Which I need to get back into.
Yes, you do. The guild needs you.
The legendary explorer wizard. So as someone that has written off free-to-play MMOs, pay-to-play MMOs, pay-to-win MMOs, Black Desert Online just captured me in a really, really great way because of the combos, the depth of it, the thought played into quote-unquote NPC relationships and gaining information to have meaningful conversations with them. There's a lot of magic in Black Desert Online that, dare I say, you really only get from game titles from the East. The level of detail, the level of just meticulousness in animations and how things look and the particle effects used, and Black Desert Online is a gem. Yeah.
I gotta say that I actually picked it up and played it a bit. It reminds me of some of the best parts of Vanguard and Ultima Online.
Oh my
strangely
God,
enough, just
Vanguard.
being able to pull you in, have little not just mini games, but entire subsystems dedicated to diplomacy and dealing with people, as well as having that fun action MMO bent that I think that I think is going to be kind of required these days to get people sucked into a game. No one wants to do tab targeting anymore.
Yeah.
That's kind of went the way of World of Warcraft and Rift and all those. No offense, guys, but for new games that are coming out, people are expecting that kind of stuff, and it scratches a lot of itches all at once. And it's a game that I know that if I sat down and started playing for serious, you probably wouldn't hear from me again.
That's why I had to take a break from it. When I realized that I wanted to go back and start prospecting for lumber and set up a supply trade for lumber routes in the newbie area that I neglected. Like that was, that's what I was like. I need to take a time out. Like there's too many things coming out right now for me to get sucked in like that. I mean, even just the looks of characters, the level of detail that you have to character creation, it's just amazing. And thank you, Western Black Desert Online, for having dark skin tones. I appreciate that because it's awesome having my own Black Gandalf.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sort of inclusion is really friggin' important, especially these days. I mean, it's something that most games end up. Okay, here's a couple of different shades, and there's like really cracker ass white, semi normal white. I went out in the sun for 2 hours white, and then black as the ace of spades. And actually being able to kind of being able to do literally just about anything you can with your body shape and stuff has been really great for a number of people I've talked to about it.
Well,
it's funny because there was a story that was getting a lot of press over the past 2 weeks from the Lionhead art director John McCormack, and he tells the story of trying to get a quote-unquote black woman on the cover of Fable 2, because the whole point of Fable 2 was being able to play whoever you wanted, and Microsoft essentially shutting that down. And it's one, what could have been, because I think if Microsoft had the courage to do that then, it would have gained a lot of press and attention. and it would have started an interesting dialogue back then. But your point now, you look at, especially again, a lot of the games that I'm seeing coming from the east to the west. There's one I'm playing now. Oh my goodness, what is the name of it? 'Cause I'm gonna screw up the Japanese name of it. Hold on.
Okay, now I'm interested.
Orishika, Oreshika, Tainted Bloodlines, and in that game, it's your family. It's a turn-based strategy game, but it's absolutely bloody brilliant. You only have an X amount of months that you can live, 18 months. So the whole thing is building a traditional RPG team of 4 sort of people that are active on the battlefield, but having those reserves by breeding them with other clans, by breeding them with gods. And what's interesting is that the whole hereditary bloodlines thing is that their appearances change depending on who was their spouse, and the children appearances are randomized based on the genetic traits of the parents. And the ideal is, if you think about the traditional RPG traits of, fire abilities or, melee or archery, what have you, is breeding those that will further strengthen those skills or abilities. But what was interesting, and the reason why I bring this up, is that when Orishika came out in Japan, all the skin tones were Japanese, in that they were Japanese ultra pale to Japanese dark skin, which was still, white skin, just tanned. When they brought it over, they were very, very conscious of sort of like the larger market, and in the West, they actually added brown and darker skin tones for quote unquote flesh tones. You put aside the fantastical god tones like red and green, like non-human skin colors. They brought that over, and again, I'm just seeing that level of, hey, there's this larger market out there. There's this larger demographic that are PC gamers or just RPG gamers that want to be able to see their person as the character, and they allow that to happen. Like it blew my mind. Yes, I'm a Bethesda fanboy, for a myriad of reasons, but when Mr. Handy, your robot pet in Fallout 4, was able to say my last name, it was just like, oh wow, bravo! Like, yeah, I could be my skin tone, and the robot knows my last name. Like, this is awesome. Like, and it's in game, and it drew me in a way that a lot of titles don't manage to do. And I'll stop rambling because I know I'm going over my time limit.
No, dude, that's actually fucking amazing. First of all,
Yeah,
thanks
really.
for pitching that game, because I am so putting that on my list.
Orishika is amazing. From the tactical RPG standpoint of it, it's just brilliant. But that additional metagame of breeding and seeing the traits that come out over generations, and hey, yeah, you may have taken this beautiful, attractive, blue-eyed, blonde-haired woman and mated her with a pink a god with antler horns, but it won't be until maybe 4 or 5 generations, and maybe breeding with similar gods where that trait manifests, and that they're cognizant of how recessive and dominant traits work, is just really, really interesting element of Orishika that it just makes it fun to play through, because you never know what you're gonna get with your kids after the 15th generation.
Yeah, this is looking really freaking cool, and I need even more reasons to bust out my Vita. And I'm still working through Stranger of Sword City,
Which
and
I just got.
oh, dude, you're gonna love it. It has been an absolute blast thus far playing through it.
I just made my first my party, and I was about to head into the first dungeon. Oh, good stuff. Okay, yeah, all right.
All right, yeah,
Speaking-
we're gonna get along great. This is awesome.
Speaking of breeding, Black Desert Online,
Wait.
I spend hours.
Line,
I spend hours breeding horses.
which blew. I gotta admit that was one of the first hooks that got me hooked into the game, because I thought it was hilarious when Angel started saying, "Well, I just sold like this horse for like 50K." It was just like, "What? Like, what are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm breeding horses, and there's a viable horse market if the horse has the right traits."
Oh yeah, like tier 5, tier 6 horses, we're talking millions now.
Oh my
That's
god,
their
that is
worth.
mind blowing.
So, and I have days where I'll just fish all day and make a couple million. It's great.
I gotta
But
admit, the fishing
go,
game,
yeah.
like if you don't slack off and have it do auto, is pretty interesting as well. Like the horse capturing minigame is fun. I enjoyed it. It was fun to figure out. I gotta say the same for the fishing minigame, and I'm just curious what else could they add in the future? Because those little minigames is what, again, Black Desert Online, bravo.
Oh yeah, and there's camels coming with the next update. Camels and siege elephants. But
That's ridiculous.
to call back to our shared past, Matt, to an extent, uh, the first couple hours that I was playing Black Desert, I was a melee class, and the thought that occurred to me right away was I felt kind of like I was playing Chronicles of Spellborn.
Oh, wow.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like Chronicles of Spellborn was just before its time.
yeah,
I honestly, that and it was okay. I hope no one else is listening. Mismanaged a bit.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there was so much there that could have happened, and I think that if they just let it go and just kind of publish it as is and just kind of let it float, it would have found its audience. But I think that there was far too much tweaking happening, and they were trying to alter the. Okay, you know what? We're not even going to talk about that. Let's move on to the next thing.
yeah,
No, no,
yeah.
no, 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 no. You have to, because that gets to the heart at a lot of gamer complaints about balancing and everything else. And
Well, it was part balancing, but I think the biggest problem that it had was that it monetized terribly.
Yeah,
But it came out in an era where they didn't understand how to monetize effectively.
and it was
And
near to the end
yeah, towards
for
the
the
end, they started
company.
making changes to make it look to actually make it kind of worthwhile to throw money at it. But it was far too late, and the company was looking for they needed to find other revenue, and it just kind of shat itself, and that was really sad. And frankly, I learned a lot of lessons from from all that stuff that I've been
Yeah,
using in my current work. So monetizing shit is hard, especially if you're trying to do it in a not evil way. And that's where I'm going to drop the subject. And we're going to talk
yes,
about
we're gonna move
Batman
on.
versus Superman versus Civil War.
wow, we're going there.
We're going there, absolutely.
Hey, we got to have one place where we all start fighting each other. And I think this is going to be it.
Probably not.
Actually,
Probably not. Like, yeah.
Let's just state it. Civil War was the superior movie.
Of the two, yes.
Yes.
Of the two, yes. But of the three, no. Because there is a third movie I could interject with that was better than both, and that's Deadpool.
We will not bring Deadpool. That's an exception to the rule. We cannot bring Deadpool into this.
you're not gonna like my response, is what I'm going to say right now.
Oh, hit us.
Yes, go ahead.
I would say that Deadpool was enjoyable, but it relied a lot on pop culture that I don't think it's going to stand the test of time. When it comes down to it, if I were going to pick a movie that I was going to watch over and over, like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I think it would be Civil War. And Deadpool will be like,
I agree.
oh yeah, I remember that movie back in the day. It was pretty funny back then.
Yeah, I agree to that sentiment, but I do have one thing to add to that. It had to be that way.
It has to be the first.
It had to be that
first.
way just so that it would open the door for what's to come. You're absolutely right. Deadpool itself is not going to be that memorable, other than the fact that it was the gateway drug to Deadpool 2.
It was the gateway drug.
And
love, and possibly a
and possibly a Lobo movie.
Recalibration for both Warner Brothers, Sony, and Fox, how
Yeah.
they handle this material.
Because
To
now,
date, they've been fucking it up.
yeah. Well, now we're hearing rumblings about a possible Lobo movie, right?
I'd kill for a fucking Lobo movie.
Punisher is getting a Netflix series.
Well,
Yep.
that's because it did a really fucking good job in Daredevil.
True.
It really, honestly, Punisher killed in Daredevil season 2. Like,
Absolutely true. But
It
having
was
Deadpool
just
do well
perfect.
also added to it.
Deadpool doing well means that they're finally going to start breaking out of that PG-13 mold and
Yes.
say, you know what, every once in a while we can have a rated R movie.
Right.
Just
I hear that they're looking at redoing Blade.
yes.
If they redo Blade,
That's a rumor.
it damn well better be an R-rated movie.
It has to be.
The rumor going around right now is that Blade might possibly be a Netflix series rather than a movie.
You know what? They
I'd be down with
tried.
it.
It was funny because I remember. Oh my god, what's television network tried a Blade series and they had Sticky Fingers from the rap group Onyx in it, and
Wasn't that sci-fi?
it was like, oh, they would have to erase some taint. Like it was okay, but it just
Oh.
wasn't Blade.
It was on
Yeah.
Spike TV.
Spike
Oh, yes,
TV,
right.
Yes. Oh my
Right.
God.
Oh my god, I had to go and look that up. I didn't even know that existed. I barely remember
Yeah.
Spike existed.
It was like they tried and it was a noble effort, but it was just wrong on so many different levels.
Yeah, Spike is only good for when you're drunk and half awake at like 3 o'clock in the morning and you're watching Bar
And
Rescue.
that series worked when you were drunk, half awake, and stoned at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Well, how bad was it?
That's when you watch
Talking
Highlander.
Like are we talking like the vampire TV series? You know, vampire,
Oh,
vampire,
God,
the
no.
Kindred and the Embraced.
Oh,
Kindred the
God,
Embarrassed?
no.
Yeah,
No,
it would.
wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
It wasn't
well,
that bad. I got
yeah.
defended in that regard. It wasn't that bad, but it was just
Okay.
underfunded, poorly written, poorly acted, miscast.
So
It
Kindred the
was-
Embraced.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Oh, all right. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't Kindred the Embarrassed
I like how
bad.
We're saying it, laying it out on the table, and then we're
It
walking
was-
away from it slowly.
It was Highlander Raven kind of bad. Like that third Highlander TV series spin-off.
Along, yeah.
Kind
You know,
of
I can go with that. I can
in
go with
there, kind of right in there. That kind of vibe bad.
I that was well stated. It was in that third Highlander, kind of bad but kind of good positioning.
Oh
You
my
know.
god, we need
But
to see
yes.
another. You know what's fun? To go on an aside, since we brought up Highlander, there's a tabletop RPG that came out recently that is full of 80s and early 90s flair called Trenchcoats and Katanas.
Trench
Can
coat.
you
Oh,
guess what it's
nice.
Of course.
about?
Stop.
That's awesome.
Started recently.
Hold
And
on.
It
I
was
gotta
ridiculous.
I gotta look this up. Trench coats.
Trenchcoats and Katanas.
But yeah,
Wow, that's original. But God bless them.
you're
Yeah.
right. But back to the Deadpool and whatnot. It does open up for the move away from R.
So I gotta get my Batman versus Superman. Ready.
Yes, that's
Alright.
where I'm going back to. It opens up for things to move out of PG to R, but not with Batman versus Superman.
Yes, but in
For Batman, Batman can go R.
I
I could see Batman
Like-
going hard R.
like Zack Snyder's Superman, and I know that I'm gonna get hate mail for saying that, but I love Man of Steel because Superman, even though as a kid, you love Superman. He's awesome. Like I love Richard Donner's Superman 1 and his director cut of 2. You know, I can watch Superman 3 and 4 for Richard Pryor and that nuclear guy in 4, but like, you know, Chris Reeve, love him. Like he's an icon, but the character, the DC comic book character himself, has always rubbed me wrong because it's okay. This alien from another planet somehow wasn't maladjusted through childhood because he had perfect parents and became this well-adjusted individual that can control his powers and save the day every time. The Boy Scout like fantasy just nauseated me. It was just like, no, it's too perfect. And there was something about Man of Steel where I felt the title was perfect because he's not Superman yet. He's not a Boy Scout. He's learning how to become Superman, and
And if
that
they
he was
pitched it
emo,
like
that he was grumpy, that he was bitter, that like he was like confused about where his allegiance
Dude.
lied to this alien culture that he may be from, or his Earth-bound parents, that he has
Okay.
abilities and that he could rain destruction if he wanted, and is conflicted by that. Like, and that final cataclysmic battle is how every Superman battle should be, unless they're in the middle of the fucking Sahara Desert where nothing around. Like it, I felt that carnage. If you think about his abilities, if you think about the villains that he goes against, like Azad, there is no way Metropolis would not be fucking leveled. And they kept like that is why I love that film. And Batman vs Superman, it has its faults. It's not a great film, but I think they continue to show that evolution of this alien foreign immigrant in the Americas finally learning what it becomes to be a hero, and Ben Affleck's Batman giving him the beatdown to teach him that up until the Martha moment was pretty awesome.
Well, all right. I don't disagree with you, but your big description there, if you take out the alien powers part and lower the power level a little bit, you basically just described a teenage Wolverine. But
you know, a valid point.
My-
The thing is, if they were going for the whole, this is Superman learning how to be Superman, we've seen that. That's called Smallville.
yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly when that's how that should have happened. If the major point of the story was Superman learns how to be Superman, they should have fucking got that through in one movie and just been done with it. Instead,
It's funny you mentioned Smallville because like I kind of agree with you, and that shows how disjointed DC Warner Brothers is with their collective media vision versus Marvel.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
but
I agree.
with Batman vs Superman, my major complaint, like, I mean, yes, the story is a mess in a lot of ways. The character presentation, I don't have a problem with.
Right.
It was the way that they mixed them together and the overarching story that really annoyed me. And the one thing with that, quite simply, is the battle between Bats and Soups, the way that they finally ended it, it was just,
Martha.
yes, it was just, no. It's
That
like
was
they
a big
built,
old pile of dicks, ex machina, and they
yeah, they built up to this thing, and then all of a sudden it's just, Martha! What?
Why do you say that?
And then,
Why do you say her name?
yeah, exactly, and it's just, and then all of a sudden they're helping each other, like, come on!
I don't
So-
know.
yeah,
Mommy's
I
were
think
pretty
they
special.
just threw their hands up at that point and were like, I don't know, how are we gonna fix this?
And,
Fuck it.
but Civil War, now that we're going to jump tracks to Civil War, it is great, yes, but the show stealers were Black Panther and Spider-Man,
Yes.
Yeah, I gotta agree
Yeah.
there.
right?
It was a vehicle for their movies.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Basically.
I honestly, by the end of that film, just because of the characters, I felt that both, like, I've been saying Team Cap for the longest, even because I remember the Civil War comic book storyline, and again, it's the same thing like Superman. I hated Captain America as I got older until the Ultimates hit, and it was just like, wow, he's rebellious, he's not this Boy Scout, he goes against government if he feels that in his gut it's wrong, and that just made him a more compelling character.
Yeah,
So I was like,
he's principled.
Team Cap. But you get to the movie, and Team Cap is just more tangible in the comic strip. I went in Team Cap, first viewing of Civil War, and I don't know. I by the end I was like Team Iron Man. Like fucking Bucky with the good hair came into the picture, ruined everything, their friendship and everything else. killed Stark's parents, brainwashing be damned. Like that was his mom, man.
Yeah, that plot point was some bullshit.
See,
right
that's the thing. There were parts in the movie that were good, but the whole thing with Bucky, Cap, and
You have to say
Tony,
good hair.
yeah,
Whatever you
Buck.
refer to
All right,
as
fine.
the
Bucky
first
with the
Bucky.
good hair, Tony Stank, and Captain Kangaroo. It was basically one bad night in the dorm. College buddies fighting over the last bottle of beer.
That's really
That
my
was
biggest
exactly what it
problem with the
was.
movie. Was in the end, the you did not have you had something resembling a money shot. A good final third act. I really shouldn't use money shot for that, huh?
Oh, use
but,
it. Use it to the ground.
Yeah, but my problem with the movie was that in the end, all it did it was just the world's longest third act, and the stuff that you wanted to see resolved. That there was no real honest to god final conclusion.
Nope.
And some people really like that kind of stuff. For me, for a superhero movie, I felt like it was a bit of a downer. It's like, okay, so you have you have Tony Stark running the Avengers now with like one maybe two other people that are on his team, and everyone else said, you know what, fuck this, I'm out. I'm gonna go home until you want to call me again.
Yeah, basically,
And
Cap
it
just
felt-
went and did a Carly Ray. He's just like, call me maybe, and then like bounced.
Exactly.
That
It
was
was
the
ridiculous.
funny thing about it because this is the Empire Strikes Back, and that Spider-Man flat out said it. It was for the Marvel film universe. This truly was the Empire Strikes Back, and that even Empire Strikes Back had like some hope of resolution. Like this was just bleak by the end, and it's just like, okay, we have to wait for Avengers 3, whatever they're calling it now, because I hear the title's gonna change. Infinity War, for this to be resolved, because it's not gonna be resolved in Doctor Strange this year. What is next
No.
year? Ant-Man versus.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
Ant-Man, Thor, Ragnarok
The
is
Thor
coming.
Ragnarok, which is more depressing because that's like the fucking end of his empire.
Not really.
So we're in this like.
Yes and no.
I think it's a no. I think it's a no. Like, there's no way Ragnarok can be positive.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't really care how Ragnarok ends. All I care about is that it's the vehicle that gets Hulk to Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the only thing I give a fuck about.
I don't know.
I
if we're
don't
ever
care
gonna
what
get
happens
Hulk in
to
space.
Thor.
I don't know if we're ever gonna get it.
We are.
We're never
That's
gonna
what's
get
happening in
Planet
Thor.
I
Hulk-
don't-
Hulk is in
I
Ragnarok.
Don't buy it yet.
I don't think we'll get Planet Hulk, but we will see Hulk in Guardians 3.
Speaking of that was another thing that fucking bothered me. It was you had a hell of a lot of Sir not appearing in this film in there. It's like, oh, where's Pepper Potts? Oh yeah, she and I are having
An issue.
issues.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
guys? Fucking
Exactly.
really? You couldn't have her be on there? Just give her $5,000. Let her just stare at him for angrily for 10 seconds and have her say 3 words and storm off. Don't just say, oh yeah, she's missing. The Hulk, yeah, he's off anywhere else. Sorry, or any of that shit like that. It just that really broke the immersion, and it kind of made a callback, strangely enough, to Deadpool when they're like, man, it's almost like we couldn't afford to have any other
Yeah.
people in here.
The
It's like,
danger of
fuck.
Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's the damage that Deadpool has done, because that was the question. Even when Spider-Man did his landing in Civil War, there was superhero landing, like unpractical but awesome looking. Like the damage
Yeah.
of Deadpool.
Yeah, I can say Deadpool was a good movie. I stand by the fact that in 5 years we're probably going to remember 2 or 3 instances of it, and the rest of it's going
Yep.
to be like, eh.
I agree.
Yeah,
All
and then
right.
it'll be
But
Deadpool with
it's making
Cable.
it cynical in terms right now, and to Angel's point, it's gonna shift how superhero movies are done within the next 3 years. Like even Suicide Squad had reshoots done because they were, one, the reaction to BVS, and then two, it was Deadpool. So it's gonna be interesting how that ends up turning out.
Yeah, my
So
final
this is
point.
a Harley Quinn that was
Yeah.
glamorified in the trailers as a sex object, and the actress is like, "Yeah, I'm kind of tired of wearing the hype pants."
Yeah, well,
and the fact that there sounds like she's there are talks about making her spin off into her own series where she's leading them for a bit.
yeah.
Between that and Black Widow actually getting a movie, could be a pretty neat year.
It could be.
It could
Black
be.
Widow
Plus,
deserves her movie.
plus there's
Just
the Wonder
flat
Woman
out.
movie coming out too.
Yeah.
But as far
God,
as
I want to see fucking Spider Gwen get a movie.
yeah, absolutely.
No, like I'm so opposed to Spider Gwen.
Or Gwenpool.
No.
Okay, not Gwenpool.
No.
We've had it. Let's get Deadpool.
I will say-
let's get Deadpool out of our system before we start looking at his
Well,
variants.
my
Gwen though, I feel that her character, at least from the stuff that I've read,
I want Spider
is
Pig.
pretty substantial in and of itself.
It is, but like I don't know. Like after the whole Spider-Man, like every person became a Spider-Man. I'm so opposed to Spider-Gwen. I just want her to be her own person without anything associated with Peter Parker. I'm sorry. I'm very.
My-
You know, I can go with that. I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
seeing her get a bit of a redo to where she was like, "Yeah, I was Spider Gwen for a while, but now I'm, whatever the fuck." That part would be pretty cool. But as it is, as a character,
No,
she's
they
pretty
can
cool.
take her.
She can do whatever the fuck. Yes.
They can take her and put her on Jessica Jones for a run.
Okay. Yeah. Let's move on to the next thing. Where
But
we're going to talk about
my last point
upcoming-
about Civil War.
God damn it!
I have one last point. My team affiliation didn't change all throughout Civil War.
Mine did.
I am still
It
firmly
became
Team
a
Deadpool.
mommy issue. Sorry.
Yes, upcoming hype.
Yes, upcoming hype. Let's get the elephant out of the way. Warhammer Total War.
I just pre-ordered today.
I looked
and
at
I
it.
waited on it, and I don't know why. I didn't realize it was coming out so soon.
I know it's like next week, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like
It
2
is.
days, right?
2-3
You
days.
can guess what I didn't pre-order because I pre-ordered something else. It's coming out in 10 hours or so.
Oh, what's going on 10 hours?
Overwatch.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, the way Warhammer handled all of its pre-order shit, I have no qualms at all with waiting a bit until they release a collector's edition or whatever that has all the armies that they have planned as DLC all wrapped up in one bundle by the end of the year.
Well played. Well
Yeah.
played.
I'll look at
They-
it
they
for the
will.
Christmas.
It's gotta be another
They will.
$100
They
between
always
all
do
the
that.
other ones.
Yeah, I'll wait for either. I'll see where it's at with the summer sale, and then I'll wait and see where it's at with the winter sale.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're all in agreement on that. So if you're expecting a review from Warhammer Total War from us, you're gonna have to wait a bit. Sorry. But let's see. There's also
but not from everyone. Like I will.
You'll get it day one.
yeah. You'll
Well,
get it.
then
Yeah,
you can write it up.
Because I'm a fanboy. I'm
Yeah, you
sorry.
can
I'm
tell
a,
us
I'm a
how it
Total
works.
War. I love those guys. And
Oh, I do too, but I'm not big on Warhammer to begin with. When everybody around me was playing
Blizzard
Warhammer,
wouldn't exist without Warhammer. I'm gonna be that person.
I know, but when everybody around me in high school was playing Warhammer, I was playing Robotech. So
Okay, I'll give you that.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
All right.
Which-
let's see.
I mean,
Also-
quick
even
shout
World of
out-
Warcraft 2 being introduced to me by my tabletop Warhammer friends as, oh wow, like someone finally took Warhammer and turned it into the game, and that was Warcraft 1. So that's I love Blizzard to death, and love where they've taken their mythology and they got a movie coming out. There is this bitter part of me, just like, wow, that should have been a Warhammer movie.
I'm going to tell you what. We are not going to talk about how Games Workshop handles their licenses and specifically how they treat the companies that work with them.
Shh.
yes.
Okay, sorry, I even brought up this tangent.
Okay.
Hey, you started
They are
this,
their
son. I'm gonna have
own-
to. I'm shutting it right down.
Yes.
Food coming down.
Shh.
All right. Well,
I'll
and
go there.
on that note, I'm gonna plug Robotech, now available all episodes in the Shadow War movies, all free on Crackle.
I saw that. Oh my god.
Yep, all episodes. I think I posted it on Facebook and everything.
Yes, you did, and that's what drew my interest on it. I was like, holy shit, they actually. I think that there's now that digital distribution is a thing. I firmly believe that a lot of those old series and stuff are going to be able to find new life because the schmuck that has the rights to them for whatever reason will just say, you know what? It would cost far too much for me to go and print these out on DVD and sell them that way. Fuck it,
Well,
Crackle or Funimation, go
actually,
for it.
Robotech, all the episodes of the series have been on YouTube for the last couple of years. Complete episodes.
Okay, no. When you say up on YouTube, do you mean the same way that everyone else picks shit up?
Yeah, no, like somebody just randomly uploaded every episode of Robotech on YouTube a couple of years ago.
Okay, we're also not going to talk about piracy on this.
I know. I'm just saying, it's with that having been out, I'm surprised it took this long for it to legitimately hit a streaming service. And
probably because they had no fucking clue.
Well, it's Harmony Gold. It's weird.
Yes,
but I'm gonna segue from that into upcoming hype for Voltron. My brain almost went blank. Voltron, Netflix.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, it's coming soon.
It looks amazing.
It does.
I hope that they bring back the classic theme. Like in all the features that they've released to date, they haven't included it, but there's a lot, there's enough of the spirit and heart and classic nuggets that you would want in a modern day Voltron that's just in every trailer they've shown it, and it's just like, okay, I'm on board. The animation looks superb. How they animated the lions and how the Dyna thrusters engage and over thrusters or go, it looks amazing. Amazing. Even the new, Voltron looks recognizable. They, of course, quote unquote, made some modern changes to him, but
and the animation is
his
crisp.
Wings can go into a down flapped, unused position was just, instead of always being upright, was, I don't know, just little things like that. It was like, oh, I'm so happy.
I'm gonna have to see that
was
before
like
I
seeing
believe
kills
Yeah.
on the modern, the most recent Hollywood Godzilla film. It was just like, oh wow, they thought about gills on the side of his neck, and just little touches like that make me giddy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean,
Giddy.
you watch the trailers, you'll feel like you're watching a Daft Punk video, but it's a really exciting Daft Punk video.
It's a really, really awesome Daft Punk video.
Upcoming hype.
Everything's a Daft Punk video.
No Man's Sky. Go.
Oh my god, No Man's Sky. That is another one. There are far too many games that are coming out lately that are just going to eat so much of my time, which is great. I love that these things are coming out. And god, No Man's Sky, where you can actually fire up and just fly around in a pseudo multiplayer thing where there's a good chance you're not going to find anyone else, but you might, and you might see what the hell kind of damage they've done as you're flying around everywhere. It's going to be very fascinating to watch. And not very expensive either, is it?
No, I think it's only $50-$60, I believe.
I cannot wait for that game. I'm gonna go far away. It is what I was hoping Star Citizen would be at this point.
Oh, don't get him started on Star Citizen. Don't.
No, right. But and I'm still heavily invested in Star Citizen, so let's not discuss that. As a subscriber and investor, but ouch. It will come. But No Man's Sky, I see myself vanishing for a long period of time because I wanna be that person that tries to discover as many things as possible. So when you arrive at a planet, you see my name. There is that, oh wow, every kid wants to be an astronaut bit that it just seemingly seems to capture, and I can't wait for that.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be fun for everyone.
Explore strange new worlds.
I'm kind of holding off on that one because I want to see what the reviews end up being like, because I know it's not something I'm going to be able to invest a lot of time in right now, but it's definitely something I want to play later. I also want to see how the differences are between that and another game called Pulsar, which, yeah, it's a game where you get a group of people together to play. You actually are manning the different things on a starship, in a first-person shooter-ish kind of way. So you've got your science officer, you've got your engineering guy, you've got your pilot who's the captain, and you have all those working together, and you actually go and explore strange new worlds. And there's actual like ship-to-ship combat where the pilot's having to do stuff, or the weapons engineer is, actually firing lasers and stuff. And then there's actual boarding parties where you can go down to the planet's surface and look at that kind of stuff. And it's been on my list. I just haven't had the time to sucker a bunch of people into dropping cash on it with me to give it a legit shot.
You know what? I'm looking at it now on Steam, and I will give this Pulsar Lost Colony, and there's a lot of positive reviews for it. Holy shit!
Sounds like
I may
evolution
invest
of
in this,
Guns
man.
of Icarus.
If you're if you can assemble a crew.
I'll talk about that. And oh god, Guns of Icarus. They're doing a Guns of Icarus too, right?
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Yeah, I'm kind of tempted. That and I don't know if anyone played the RTS first-person shooter hybrid Savage way back in the day, but they're getting a redux of that as well, and they've got it up on early access. It's
Yeah. And Hard
Savage
Reset
fucking
Redux
amazing.
just came out.
Wait, what just came out?
Hold on, let me look.
Oh god, his brain. But yeah, Savage is up on Steam right now, and that is definitely really high on my list because I love the hell out of the first one. I thought the second one kind of lost some of the allure. They tried to make it a little too complex when it didn't need to be in certain places. But damn, that first one was fantastic, and they're completely redoing it in the Unreal 4, I think. And
Savage Resurrection.
Yep.
I am adding this now to my watch list.
Oh,
Holy
sorry.
shit.
Yeah, Hard Reset Redux is coming out soon.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember all that talk we were
Like
doing
a
about
week or
Doom
so.
up there? Hard Reset is like the indie remake that everyone kind of wants to play. The original was an absolute blast. Just piles and piles of shooting and lots of fun robots to destroy, all in this sleek kind of cyberpunkish thing. It was really cool.
June.
I think that comes out in the next week or so, if I'm not
Fucking
mistaken.
Yes.
And
All right.
I think that's
All right,
about
let's
it
call
for our
this,
hype.
Yeah, let's call this for hype, and let's go into our last segment. What the hell are you playing? So, Angelus, what the hell are you playing?
Stellaris.
I mean, duh, but we might as
Well,
well say
Stellaris, Black Desert Online, and actually no, I will add I am playing Blitzball. I mean Final Fantasy X remaster on Steam.
He's playing Final Fantasy Blitzmaster Redux
Yep.
on Steam.
I'm playing Blitzball. That's it. I'm playing Blitzball on Steam.
You're like the only person I know that actually got giddy about Blitzball. You're a special little boy, and we love you.
Aw, gee, thanks.
Kareem, what the hell are you playing?
Right now, so I'm back on my Vita dungeon crawler. So, Stranger of Sword City, I just got, as I told you, Ray Gigant, which I'm looking forward to starting tomorrow as well. Believe it or not, in the Demon Hunter vein, I reloaded God's Eater Burst because a little bit of a rebranding. God Eater is coming back finally. Namco Bandai is finally releasing the Redux version of it, which has like all the DLC that they released, as along with the sequel that only came out in Japan with all the DLC as both Vita and PS4 titles. And apparently, if I have my old PSP save, I can transfer it into the newer versions. So that's what I've been just doing, just collecting items for that. On the PC front, started Homefront, the Revolution. Not bad. Has a lot of issues, unoptimized. After playing Doom, this is no excuse for a title being released in the state that the most recent Homefront was released in. I could run Witcher 3, Doom, what else is something else? Quantum Break, all on ultra settings, maxed out, and I had to reduce my settings just to get a decent frame rate in the Homefront. Once you get over how poorly optimized it is, it's a better guerrilla combat game of American Invasion than the original was, and I really do feel that. Holy shit! I'm in a city under siege by foreign entity. Gets a little bit racist in the ways of the way that they refer to the North Koreans as Norks. And after the first hour, I realized, oh my god, all I'm killing are North Koreans. So that if you put that
They probably
aside,
said they were trying to say North Koreans, but weren't actually able to say North Koreans.
right, and it comes as it's Nork as the derogatory term, like Viet Cong was, I guess in the Vietnam War, Japs during, which was horrible, during World War II, and it's funny because this is a made up word, but it's amazing how in the context of the game, and you're killing nothing but they invaded the United States, but there was just something about slowly killing nothing but North Koreans and them being referred to as Norks by my brothers in arms just got to this point where I was just like, oh, this is a little bit awkward. Um, but yeah, that's what
I
I'm playing
think that's
right
the
now.
point of those games, though. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
they do make a job of emphasizing the cost of warfare, the cost of combat. There is this moral voice of reason, which bemusingly is a black doctor, which I thought was like a nice touch. And he's the one that's saying, hey, they're humans too. They are mothers, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters too. Do we really need to slaughter everyone in order to gain our freedom? And it's an interesting juxtaposition that they tried. It's just horrible that an optimized game, horrible frame rate, kills what may be a gem hidden in there. And my experience wasn't as bad as a very popular reviewer named Jim. I did see AI do intelligent things like flank and actually climb up to locations that I was at and find stairways up to get me out of sniper positions. And so, you know, your mileage may vary, but I think there is a gem of a game if it just had another 6 months. And it requires a few patches.
all right. Let's
Oh,
see.
and I went back to Dying Light for some reason.
The new
That's fucking
DLC that came
hilarious,
out.
'cause so did I. All right, let's see. I am playing. I've been playing a fair bit of Smite. I went through and beat Doom's story mode. I played a game called Atlas Reactor, which should be coming out live
Reactor.
next week or so. Oh, dude, imagine if you will, XCOM multiplayer. Two person on each team, or people on each team, kind of like a MOBA, except for that it's all turn based. It's all simultaneous. So you'll pick your move, pick a direction for your attack or whatever, and everything happens in a certain order, and they all happen at once. So if someone decides to be a real sneaky bugger, they can teleport out before your shot goes out.
Dude, and I'm looking at the cell shaded look of this. It's fucking amazeballs!
Yes, all the characters are really phenomenal. The gameplay itself is really fast. You can get a match done in like 5 minutes, and it's when it actually comes out live. They're going Trons, instead of going for the free to play thing, they're going for a box price. So you don't, you buy the box, you get the game, you get all the dudes, and then they'll still have DLC in the form of like cool skins and stuff like anyone else, but it's kind of like Smite in that you pay for, you drop the money on the on all the characters, and you get all the characters and all the new ones they release forever. And between that and the gameplay, it's a serious no-brainer for me for when I just want to sit there and just get a quick match in, or if I just want to sit there and fucking marathon it. It's an absolute blast. It's a hell of a lot of fun.
The animations and the art style and the character design look amazing.
Yeah, you should totally, when it comes out, you should totally pick it up. So I've been playing that. Heroes of the Storm, Chromie came out. Chromie's freaking adorable. And really, I'm just waiting for Overwatch tomorrow, and that's pretty much what you're going to see my face in the rest of the time. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it.
Hold
Yeah.
on, I just need a little bit more Atlas Reactor. Like,
What? Well,
where
I'm
did this
a
come
little secret.
from?
I watched it come into development before it even had a name because, I know people. And I knew from the very beginning that it was going to be one of those winners. Hell, you ask Angelus. I told them about it like 2 freaking years ago. If you go look
Yeah.
at our old podcasts, you'll probably hear me say, "Oh man, they're working on this game. I can't tell you anything about it, but oh my god, that would be it. It is a hell of a lot of fun. And once it actually comes out, dude, pick it up or like ping me because I'll most likely have a copy of it,
I
and
actually
I'll
may
stream
be
it for you."
doing the Trust Edition right now.
Oh shit, really?
Um, like while you were like the minute you said Atlas Reactor and you began to describe the gameplay, and I started to look it up, and I saw the art style, the animation. Oh, yeah. Wait.
Fast-paced tactical turn-based combat. It is so damn fun, and it rewards you for being quick-witted. Like, looking is like, okay, I'm pretty sure I know where this person's going to land, so I'm going to drop this little trap over here. You throw out the trap before they start running over there, and then it trips them right up. You're rewarded for being able to anticipate things and try and figure shit out like that. You have your tanks just, you can right-click on a dude, and the game is smart enough to say, okay, this person's running over here. Well, then, your movement is going to be to chase them down, because attacks happen before movement, and all of that, gritty, the number crunching this stuff feeds really well in the back of your head, because once you figure out the rhythm of stuff, which it's going to take a couple of games for you to do, you will be able to go in there and just be constantly rewarded for intelligent tactical decisions. And as long as you've got people around you that are relatively competent, you're going to have a blast, and it's going to be really fun. Not even talking about like the friggin' animations and listening. I don't know who the hell they got to do a lot of the voices, but oh my god.
It's done. It's downloading, installing now. Holy shit! So
Oh
we need to
god.
cut this to a close. Wow,
Yep.
this was a marathon.
Yeah.
Yes,
We gotta
yeah,
play.
We need to stop this now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before I spend more money. No more.
I know. Angela, talk us through, man.
Yeah, well, I think that the last bit I'm gonna say is I still have to play Tasty Lethal Tactics, but otherwise I think that does it for episode
both.
1 of season 2. The Pants Strike Back here at Anjel Syndicate Live. Thank you for listening. This will be up on YouTube along with associated links, and you'll see it on angelsyndicate.org probably in the morning. Thanks for listening. Thank you guys for the delightful conversation, and we'll see you next time.
Out of here.
Later, guys.